The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Friday in the Riv. Another exciting week down the toilet. Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday, yes. So today's the big day. Another debate. This one in Portuguese.
Yes.
And Channel 95 is going to give serious attempts. And they have some technical issues that they have to resolve, but they're going to try to seriously air the debate live at 6 o'clock on Channel 95. But there's no guarantee. The guarantee is that they will re-air that debate on a regular basis after tonight. So if you have a chance, check on Channel 95, see if they're airing the debate. And if not, check back and see when they're going to be airing the debate. They're going to be airing it frequently. Now, the debate was originally scheduled for a 2-hour debate, but it appears that the full-time mayor of Fall River chickened out. And he brought it down to and requested that it be brought down to an hour. Now, if it was me who was running that debate, I'm telling you now, I'd say, okay, fine. If you want to leave it at the point of an hour, you can leave at the point of an hour, Paul, but we're going to go on without you. Because I don't think he would have had the backbone to get up and walk out mid-debate. Well, and with the fact that this debate is going to be translated, that means there's going to be fewer questions, fewer chances for response, and there's going to be no information getting out there. And I want to know if this time, is he going to get the questions?
Well, all of those are very good questions, and about this thing, and it's a disservice to the voting public that he wants to shorten these debates all the time. But I understand why. I watched the first debate, which and I watched it live. And the other guarantee I can make is that the people at this station will work as hard as they can to bring it to you live. I know that. I guarantee you, they really work hard at trying to get you informed, and I know they will do everything possible. And if they can't do it live, it'll be because it's an impossibility. But to get back to the debate, look, I wasn't real happy with the format of the debate. There was no real rebuttal time. It was like on to the next question without any rebuttal. But it was I watched it live. I had my Tylenol and my Pepto-Bismol and everything at the ready on the TV stand. When I watch those things live, I get nauseous and sometimes I get a headache. But that's probably from hitting myself in the head with a hammer while I'm looking at the debate. But it to me, this is just my opinion. Remember this. This isn't to me. It was pretty predictable. Paul Coogan went into campaign Coogan mode, and all of a sudden he talked about transparency, which, as far as I'm concerned, we've had none. He never really talked about any definitive plan. He talked about getting jobs, was getting sewing machine jobs. The hell, how many people are getting employed in the sewing machine industry now? 99% of the needle trades are in China and Bangladesh.
I was going to say Bangladesh.
And Vietnam. I say, for God's sakes, get something better than that, will you? And then he becomes, he's campaign Coogan, and he forgets that all the things he said that it's going to be transparency, he didn't do during his first term. And then he becomes Coogan the chameleon. He changes colors and shapes and forms. He's like a shapeshifter. He's like a superhero. Coogan the Chameleon. And at the end, when he talked about, I love Fall River. Well, goddamn, if you love Fall River, why'd you move out? Why did you live in Somerset until you decided to run for public office? Are you another Kathy Ann Viveris who only moved back to Fall River after she couldn't get elected in Westport and decided she could get elected in Fall River? And she did. And what happened when she didn't get elected? She's gone. Are you going to leave if you don't win the election? Do you truly love Fall River? Why were you living in Somerset, not staying in Fall River and trying to help? And he conveniently forgot that he was working in the school department for God knows how long, and he was a school committeeman. Yet we never saw we saw a consistent and regular deterioration of academic achievement. And I never saw anything from Paul Coogan when he was a high-ranking employee of the school department or as a school committeeman or as the mayor. And now he's got all these plans, and that the problem is plans that are never implemented are just con jobs. So to me, the debate was pretty obvious. I mean, the attack on, well, you voted for everything, and yeah, well, that was, that's right out of his boy's playbook. We know who wrote that for him. The same guy who wrote the same question when Eddie Lambert used it on Bill Whitty.
Right.
So the same guy. We know you, Jay. I know you, dear. I can tell you words. When Paul has to look down and read his opening statement and closing statement, he didn't write it.
But that's what bothered me, and I'm sorry about the phone ringing. Everybody knows we're on the air at this time, and I don't know why they insist on calling, but I'm very sorry about that. I'm glad that our producer muted my mics, and I tried to stay on top of that, but it wasn't possible. But all through that debate, he kept looking down at his paperwork. He kept looking down at his papers, and then he said something which got him by the cojones. He turned around, he says, and I have those numbers right here in front of me. And guess what?
Yeah, you don't
did you have the questions before this debate? And that's my big question, because I don't trust some of these people running these debates. I don't trust it because I know that in the past, we've seen questions leaked to candidates. I saw it happen with the Herald News at one point. I saw it happen with the radio stations at one point. I know it happens. They pick their candidate and they give them the questions. Now, Paul is supposed to be on WSAR at 4 o'clock today. I'm hoping that Will gets him just like he tried to get
Cliff. Yeah.
Cliff. Are you there? Are you there, Chip?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm ready for you to speak. You're just looking at the screen. Am I gone on your screen? I'm looking at myself on my screen.
No, you're here. I just got to mute my phone because some idiot keeps calling and they don't get the message. So it's one of those days.
Yeah, tell me about it, right? But you're right. And the thing about it is, if he got the questions, and obviously we've run a lot of debates and nobody ever got the questions, and we got a lot of pressure from people to give out the questions, and we never did. And the questions came from the people of Fall River, not from politicians and people with their own agendas. But the fact is that if they gave out the questions, which I don't agree with, obviously, you shouldn't have the questions. It should show how a mayor or a potential mayoral candidate reacts under the gun, because that's what leaders have to do. You can't run and hide, So if he got the questions, the other two candidates that appeared should have gotten the questions too. And I'm sure if the other two people had gotten the questions, they would have had numbers there too, relevant numbers. But that's his MO. When he came down to PEC meeting, he had how much we had in the fund when we gave the last holiday, but the dynamics were different. And of course, he didn't understand it. Somebody just provides him with numbers and he uses it as a talking point. Therein lies the problem. You know, to me, as I said, there are two Coogans. There's the Paul Coogan, who basically never stood up for any critical situation in Fall River, be it murders, be it a superintendent of schools running amok, or all the other issues that we faced, a department head paying money for jobs out of a snow removal fund, never stepped forward, never did an oversight or a review of these departments to make sure everything was going properly and they were being run efficiently. We had issues in the fire department, more than one issue in the fire department. Never ever saw him tell the public, listen, I am sitting down with the police chief and I'm going to report to you, the public, what we're going to do about overall crime. We just had shots fired twice in the Flint neighborhood over the past 2 or 3 weeks. Not a word about it. It's like, okay, nobody got shot. We just say there were shots fired. That's the end of it. Well, what are we doing to protect the people of Fall River? I didn't hear any of that. We never heard of anything that he actually had a plan for, and the plans he had were pathetic. I mean, sewing machine jobs.
I know. That was...
Come on. That was really sad. Come on, Jay. You can do better than that. I know you can do better than that.
Well, I think one of the reasons why he focused on that was that they were at Merrow Manufacturing, and that's what Merrow Manufacturing is. It's, you know, it's a textile business. And while I appreciate the fact that he bought that building, and I appreciate the fact that he has indeed brought jobs to Fall River, they're not skilled jobs. And the mayor kept saying, we need skilled jobs. We need high-paying jobs so that people can afford the high rents. He acknowledges that the rents are high.
Mm-hmm.
And the rents are going to be higher. Because as soon as that train rolls into Fall River, that's going to be it. You're going to see an immediate increase in rents.
Yeah.
Because if it's a rent is $4,000 in Boston, and they're going to come to Fall River to live here, they're going to pay half of that at least here.
Well, you're right. But the thing is, there's campaign Coogan going again, hoping that these people who he's saying he wants to train for high-paying jobs are simpletons that don't understand that it's more than getting a high-paying job. All he sees a trade. Throw it out. It sounds good. I'm going to train you for a high-paying job. And then if I do, you're going to move out of Fall River because the place is loaded with crime and drugs. Why should you pay virtually the same rent or the same mortgage you'd pay to live in a community that's not shots ringing out all over the place? This is an organism, and everything is connected, the city. So, you know, and he used, you know, you remember that Patton? Remember the movie Patton?
Yes.
When he beat Rommel's tank, Africa Corps, in a tank battle in North Africa.
Yeah.
That was one of the turning points of the war. And at the end, he said, you know, I read your book for Erwin Rommel, the greatest tank general the Germans had. He said, I read your book. I read your book. Well, apparently Paul's been reading other people's plans because he talked about apprenticeship. We never heard apprenticeship and vocational education in that context from him ever. But everything is, yeah, well, okay, it's campaign mode. But you're going to train them for a high-paying job without understanding that people, well, all we got to do is look at the stat we did when he was sitting in the room when we were doing the school debt override. We have virtually no retention rate of people who get a college degree.
That's right. That's right.
The fact is that we only retained 14% of the people who got college degrees that went to Fall River Public Schools. So do the math. 86% of them moved out after they got trained. So what are we going to do? Train people to move to Somerset and Westport and Rehoboth and Seekonk? No. We're trying to move this city forward. And how you move that city forward is try to reduce taxes, try to get these people jobs, and then make Fall River a place they want to stay at. And I didn't hear that. I did not hear that at all. And
neither did I.
So
and the thing is that Cliff Ponte turned around and started speaking as much as he could about his quote unquote plan, and he directed people to his website, but it wasn't possible. He tried to get it. He missed a few things. For instance, when the mayor turned around and said his idea of solving the problems is to file a lawsuit against the city. Okay. Cliff missed the opportunity right there to say, no, that wasn't the solution. That was an option. And it was placed before the city council. And the city council voted 5-4 to do it. It wasn't a simple majority. You needed a 2/3 vote for us to do that. We had decided that internally, that it needed a 2/3 vote. And we know we can't get the 2/3 vote. So we decided to not move forward with a lawsuit against the city. But that's their right. Just like it's the taxpayers' right to do that.
Yeah, and you're 100% right on that. He wasn't the swing vote because
that's right.
Because you needed the sixth vote would have been the swing vote.
Exactly,
and that's the key. So the thing died. It just died for lack of a second, but in a de facto way. So if you understand parliamentary procedure, which apparently they don't at the school, in the school committee, in the school department, that he was not the swing vote. And you know something? I think the majority of people in Fall River wanted that lawsuit to be filed. They were not happy. They were not happy with the fact of what was being done. And they felt we should spend that money to try to protect the taxpayer. Because even if you lost the suit, you could say you tried. And that's the key. And the other thing he mentioned was the fact that he talked about the budget. Well, you knew the thing, and you knew this, and it's your fault that this happened. No, it isn't. It wasn't. And here's where Cliff missed another opportunity. What he should have come back with is say, no, my opponent is mischaracterizing this like he does with everything else. You did this, Mr. Mayor, because you remember you told local media that you were going to take that budget back and you had work to do on it. You had the implied cooperation with us. And we were waiting for you to get back to us. And you freely admitted you were sitting in your office counting the days. So you misrepresented this. They treated him in good faith and said, okay, he's going to go back and come back with a reworked budget and we can talk about it. And by the way, the characterization is all you had to do was come to my office is another distortion and half truth. He made it very clear he did not want to meet with the council, that he wanted each individual councilor to come to his office, kiss his ring, and play let's make a deal. That's the way he wanted to do it. And it's on record. This is not an opinion. He said to the media he had work to do on his budget. He didn't say the work was to sit in his office, pretend that he might go back with a budget and have some cooperation and count the days on a calendar and then ram a budget that's not funded completely and has all kinds of increases for the taxpayer down the city's throat. So, Cliff, do your debate prep better. You missed a couple of golden opportunities there.
Yeah, and the thing is that one of the things I would have brought up too is the fact that it has been a past practice. I love that term, past practice, with the city council to reject a budget. They have normally been able to reject a budget. This time, all of a sudden, they can't reject a budget. Okay, so if they can't reject a budget, what can you do? All right. So they want him to go through every bit of the budget, line by line, and say, we reject, no. Do you know how long it's going to take to go through a budget and do that? Every single line item. But then they're told you don't have line item veto authority.
Yeah.
So,
you don't.
So, all they can do is reduce it. Okay, so I reduce it to $1. So they're going to have to go through everything and reduce it to $1?
Yeah. Well, isn't it wonderful to be a mayor who says you can go down and strike everything you want, and then he goes to the public and cries, "See, they don't want me to have a budget. They just keep cutting it and makes it. This is gonna last forever." And so he's got his cake and eating it too. That's not the way government moves forward.
No, it's not.
He said he was going to work on that budget. If he would have worked on the budget or even called a meeting of the council and went down and you want to shut off the cameras? You want to lock the doors and say, this is private negotiations? Sit down with the city council at a meeting called a special meeting, just like when you go into executive session to negotiate a contract. They can go into executive session with the mayor to hammer out a budget. If you really wanted to do it, it could have been done. That is absolute BS. They had that plan to ram that budget through so he could give all his friends their pay raises and raise taxes again. And now he's going to pretend he's going to give you 0.5% back. We got millions and millions of dollars. And he went on record as saying, I'm going to use one-time money, which is fiduciarily irresponsible. That's just kicking a can down the road. Because after his term, and you use that one-term money, guess who's still going to pay all those salaries and all the raises that have been piled on those salaries in 3 years? You, the taxpayer. You.
Yeah. And he's seen no means to stop hiring people. He's hiring people. He's creating new positions. I mean, a diversity coordinator, a diversity liaison. I mean, come on. Give me a break.
That's his employment agency.
Yeah.
He said, look, I'm creating jobs in Fall River, political jobs for all my friends. And you know what else I'd like to see? I'd like to see the last 15 hires in the city and a school, and 15 from the school department and where they live. Because I know for a fact we had somebody in a law department from Seekonk, an entry-level position, not to a Fall River resident, entry-level, no experience, to a Seekonk resident. And I know we've hired other people. We still got people wandering around. Remember that were high up in the Jaisel administration. They're still hiding somewhere in the corridors of government that live in Fairhaven. Or one of those towns around Fairhaven.
Nope, that's right. Fairhaven, you're correct.
Okay. All right. So,
excuse me. It was Marion or Mattapoisett. Marion or Mattapoisett, yes.
Well, whatever. It's not Fall River.
Because they were on the school committee there.
It's not Fall River.
That's right.
That's one thing we can be sure of.
Yes,
but this is the kind of thing. As I said, I've seen a lot of mayors and I've seen a lot of debates. But realistically, I got to give him credit. He's been hiding in the school department so long, he thinks he can operate like that. But you talk about, he is a chameleon. It's Coogan the chameleon. I mean, he completely morphed into a different person. The election, he forgot that he totally lacked transparency. Did he ever release anything about the superintendent? No. Did he ever talk about any issue after the murder? No, I threw a few policemen over there. I'm working with the chief. Well, guess what, buddy? Read the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Constitution. You are our representative and at all times answerable to us. Why didn't you tell the people what you're doing to reduce crime? What you're doing to reduce shots of being fired? What you doing, really? Sewing machine jobs? Give me a break. Not that I'm disparaging sewing machine jobs. My mother worked at a sewing machine for nearly 60 years in a sweatshop. She started at like 12 or 14 cents an hour. After coming to the United States and taking 1 year in school, and they put her to work at like 15 in a sweatshop, and she worked there in her entire adult life and worked hard. And I'm thankful she did. I grew up never being hungry, lived in a cold water flat for a while, but both of my parents worked their entire lives, blue collar, and my mother worked in a sewing shop. So I'm not disparaging sewing, but the reality is, from an economic standpoint and from a job standpoint, How long are you going to keep your sewing machine job before it goes to China? How many sewing machine jobs are there in the United States? Show me how much of the needle trade is in the United States. Virtually none. That was really, and that's another thing that hopefully will be jumped on in the next debate, because if they did their debate prep, I would be hammering him with that.
Oh, no question about it. No question about it at all. And it's interesting to see how a candidate handles themselves within the debate. I mean, we had 3 people on that stage. One of them,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know exactly what to say, so I'm just gonna let it go.
The other critique is vitamin D3 theory. That's the
the other 2. I mean, I think Paul needed some serious debate prep, number 1. But I think on top of the debate prep, I think he needed to take a speech course, a course on public speaking, because he's really not a good public speaker when under pressure. Let's add that, when under pressure. Whereas Cliff was able to properly handle the questions as they were posed to him. He thought on his feet. Granted, he missed a few jabs that he could have taken, but you can't get them all. You can't get them all.
You're right.
I would suggest that what Cliff should do today, he should sit down this afternoon with several people who are very good at debate prep and prep him for this. Because remember, this is going to be a condensed debate, very condensed. And therefore, it's going to have to be fast, hard, and right out of the gun. The gunshot's going to be right out of the door. No questions about it. Don't pull any punches. Don't try to sell your ideas. Make sure you answer the questions accordingly. And if you need to, take the pop shots.
And please, in your clothes, don't say how much you love Fall River, because you left it. You were just like Kathy Ann. You put it in the rear view mirror. And then your assertions that you're transparent and stuff. The record speaks for itself. He has a new nickname now. We have Hayden Biden. Now we got Coogan the Chameleon.
Yeah,
campaign Coogan. So we've got a few with him. So listen, I don't agree with everything that Cliff Ponte, but I kind of missed that 4th candidate. Somebody told me that he actually has a theory about the secret bases on the dark side of the moon. So I would have really liked to see that in a debate. But, that's something I kind of missed, because I know someone who runs into him at a local convenience store all the time and said he engages everybody in conversation. And it's pretty interesting because, I probably want to know about the dark side of the moon base. That sounds kind of Star Trek-y, and I like Star Trek. So,
speaking of Star Trek, today, 55 years ago today, is when Star Trek first aired. So now that you brought it up, I'll put the timeline in there. So I figured you'd get a kick out of that. See, only I would know something as mundane as that.
Yeah. Well, I'm a Trekkie too. I mean, I really like that series. I think it had a bit of social commentary, and that's
right. It did. It did.
Great bit. And someday we'll do a little show on that one about some Star Trek trivia and their social commentary. But hey, everybody, educate yourself. Listen to that debate. I know. The crew will be doing their best to get it to you live. So make sure you look for it.
Oh, our producer just asked, "Where's the chair?" I have the captain's chair from the Bridge of the Enterprise. It's sitting in my basement, but it's still in good condition. So I do have it. Remember, tonight is the debate. I do know that it's going to be airing on 1400 a.m. On the radio if you want to listen to it. And Channel 95 is going to do everything humanly possible to get that show on the air for you live. So give it a shot. Watch the debate. Judge your candidates based upon it. I want to thank you all for watching. It's always a pleasure to be in your home. Have a great weekend. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Thanks for watching.